Synopsis of the Books of the Bible by J. N. Darby, Genesis chapter 20 and 21. The heir and the path of faith. In chapter 20 and 21, we have the question of the heir and of the path of faith. In another point of view, Abraham denies his relationship with his wife and is reproved by the world itself, which knows better than he what she should be. God, however, guards the promise of his faithfulness and judges that which meddles with her, who has to say to them, the heir of the promise is born, and the heir according to the flesh, son of the bondswoman, or of the law, is entirely rejected. Now Abraham reproves the powerful of the earth, before whom he has previously denied his relationship with his wife. Unbelief workings, God's preservation of Sarah. But these two chapters must be somewhat more developed. Like Abram going down to Egypt, we have unbelief working in respect of the path into which he has been called by grace, shown as it ever is, in reference to walking the intimacy of the relationship which God has set him, of which women is the expression of this type. Here Sarah is the mother of the heir of the world, the wife of Abraham according to the promise, and for Abraham according to the church's hope. As we have seen, thus Israel were the vessels according to the flesh. This portion he denies. Sarah is again his sister. This was worse than before, for she is of faith, mother of the heir of the world. Abimelech was wrong and acted to please himself, but acted unconsciously of it. Abraham before God was the falter's position of the two. God warns Abimelech and preserves Sarah by his own power, whom Abraham, when of faith, had connected with the world, and Abimelech returns her with the cutting reproof of the church, a reproof to the church, as her typified that she is the least ought to have known her own relationship to Christ. Still, in the main, Abraham was in the place of faith and blessings, and God's prophet, to whom none should do harm, interceding for the faulty Abimelech. For here all is grace. There is another point to notice here, that this was the arrangement of unbelief when first he started from his father's house, back in Genesis 20, verse 13. As soon as was the germ of unbelief at work in the call of promise, but God maintains the divine title to the allegiance to the church and in all times. But now the heir is born, the heir of promise. The heir of promise born, and the heir of the bondwoman cast out. The effects of this is that not only is the difference known to faith, but the heir of the bondswoman is utterly cast out as to the inheritance. Historically, he is preserved according to God's promise. The figure of legal Israel but as regard to the portion of the inheritance wholly cast out. Abraham's title in the world. And here further Abraham feared no longer before the prince of this world, but reproves him. He has the world as well as the heavenly communion, now that the heir is come, and the world owes that God is with him in all things. Hence the well of the oath of the witness of Abraham's title in the world, and Abimelech owning God to be with him, there according to the oath, and his title, thus owning by the world, and planted a grove, and takes possession of the earth, and worships, calling on the name of the everlasting God, of him who had once promised to Israel, and never abandoned his purpose, and has now accomplished on the earth his mouth, and spoke, not indeed so blessed of a portion as to the heavenly intercourse and a position of faith, but a proof of the unchangeable faithfulness of the God who has given the promise. There Abraham in figure now abides, where the power of the world has been. This will belong to Israel in the latter. But we on whom the end of the worlds are come have it in a higher and better way. It was the pledge of what should be and will be our hope is transferred to heaven where Christ is gone, but we reign there in a better way.